Yo, peace was good. Welcome to another store in my CD collection. This is part 88. Um, before I start, I want to give a shout out to a couple people: Ross Hartley, Mike Sears, Kyle JTB 2000, aka Kyle, also formerly known as the Hip Hop Enthusiast. Shout out to Freddie Lugo, obviously. Shout out to him. He's blessed me with a couple of CDs in here and stuff like that. In this batch, I should say. Shout out to my homegirl, Moni Old School. She's been showing you nothing but love, man. So I gotta give a shout out to you, sister. Her, Killer Tapes 93, The Crew Game in 83, Timeless Beats 1992, Misanthropic One. I mean, countless others, man. Give it shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to you. Alright, and the people that I missed, don't take it personally. I'm thinking about you guys too. Alright, so this is one of the CD collections that I've been hyping up for a while. There's some like rare stuff and things like that. Some not so rare, but a little hard to find with that kind of thing. I think the majority of these are out of print as well. So, but without further ado, give you guys the CDs. Alright. First CD, I'm gonna give a shout out to Freddie Lugo. He hooked me up with this CD right here, and it is Kool Rap and DJ Polo's Killer Kuts. This was released in 1994. This is pretty much a compilation album. It's like a greatest hits, that kind of thing. It got songs from the first three Kool Rap and DJ Polo albums. Road to the Riches, Wanted Dead or Alive, which to me is their best album, and Live and Let Die, the third album. And pretty cool. Got like most of the popular songs from those albums. Songs like Road to the Riches, which is a single, Death Wish, Streets of New York, Ill Street Blues, Men at Work, Truly Yours, Rikers Island, Letters, On the Run. But it's the remix though, it's the Al Capone remix, which is pretty dope. It definitely has like a dark bass line to it. It's pretty dope. It kind of sets the tone of it gives the song a different vibe, like a darker vibe and stuff like that. Talk Like Sex, Jive Talk, Poison, Operation CB, Operation Cock Block, It's a Demo, Wanted Dead or Alive. Pretty dope. It's like a greatest hits and stuff like that. So if you guys don't own those albums, the first three albums, then this would be like your best bet and stuff like that to hear, like some of the songs for three albums and stuff. But this is out of print. This came out in '94. Next album, let me take a swig of juice. Alright. Next group is Parental Advisory with Ghetto Street Funk. This was released in 1993. Parental Advisory, for those who don't know who they are, they're a group based out in Atlanta, Georgia. They're known for their affiliation with the Dungeon family, Outkast, Goody Mob, Organized Noise, people like that. So they're part of that group. So they're part of that whole coalition and that thing like that. If you guys go on YouTube and you type in Outkast and Outkast, and you type in like 1994 or whatever, or Your MTV Raps, it's an episode where Freddie, Fat Five Freddy goes to Atlanta, visits them and shit like that, sees Outkast, because they were promoting their first song, Subtle Playlist of Cadillac Music, which I did a review on. If you check that out when you guys get a chance. They're showing around the neighborhood. They show where they were recorded and stuff like that. But Parental Advisory was in that interview too. They showed them. They kind of introduced themselves and stuff like that. So, but yeah. So like I said before, Atlanta, Georgia, and that kind of thing. There's a couple singles off the album. The singles are Lifeline, Maniac, and Ghetto Headhunter. So pretty dope album. Production is done by Organized Noise, and you got some stuff produced by DJ Toomp. You guys should know who DJ Toomp is, and Parental Advisory did a couple stuff too as well. But yeah, very dope shit. This album is really boom bapish. So you would think when you listen to it, you would think they were from New York, just based on the production, but they were from Atlanta, Georgia. Because at that time, which is kind of what's going on right now. Because at the time, New York was popping, like as far as like the boom bap scene, and to be accepted around those times, there was a lot of regions that was trying to emulate that New York sound, and this was like one of the cases with this album. But it's a dope album. It's nothing to take away from that, but pretty dope album. But I think like their later albums, they kind of found their sound, and they had their own little touch to it and stuff. I didn't hear it, but I could just imagine. So you know what I mean. But pretty dope album. I like it. Pretty dope, underrated. I rarely hear people talk about this album. Especially for my Outkast fans, So, but yeah, if you guys are into like Outkast, you guys like the early Outkast sound, or the not the Outkast, like the organized noise and that kind of sound, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. But like I said, it's like more boom bapish in a sense, you know what I mean? So pretty dope. Ghetto Street Funk by Parental Advisory, released in 1993, out of print, hard to find. Next album is still in the Dungeon Family realm, and it is Joy with Pendulum Vibe, released in 1994. She's an R&B singer. She is the daughter of Joe Gilliam of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Him. And at one point, she was married to Big Gip of Goody Mob fame and stuff like that. They were married at one point, but they separated or they got divorced, whatever. The singles off this album are Sunshine in the Rain and Freedom, which eventually appeared on what's that soundtrack? Panther, that came out in 1995 with Kareem Hardison and all them cats. So that's a very good movie, very very dope movie, man. It talks about the Black Panther and shit like that. It's a very dope movie. It was on that soundtrack, but I think the one on the soundtrack was like the remix, because the same beat, but they just added more people, like more female MCs and shit like that. So, but yeah, very dope album. It's crazy because this album, like, she was considered the originator of neo soul, that kind of thing. But I don't really hear too many people talk about this album, which is kind of sad because it's a pretty good album, man. Very dope, very different. From the Organized Confusion. The Dungeon Family. The Dungeon Family fame, because when you think of Dungeon Family, you think of Goody Mob, you think of Outkast and that kind of thing. But yeah, man, very dope album. Hard to find. It's long out of print, that kind of thing. But I'm glad to own it. Just add on to the Dungeon Family, collection and stuff like that. But yeah, Sunshine and Rain and Freedom are the two singles off this album. Very dope album. Then still in the Dungeon Family realm, and it's gonna be the last album from that, and it is Witchdoctor with his debut album, S.W.A.T Healin Ritual, released in 1998. Witchdoctor, he's part of the Dungeon Family. He's affiliated with them and that kind of thing. This is his first album. It's funny because I remember seeing this album back in stores back in the early 2000s. I remember seeing it. I always liked the cover, but I didn't know who he was. And I remember, just looking at it and things like that. But like I said, I never knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? I know he was like from the South, but I didn't know exactly who he was or that kind of thing. But yeah, I always liked this color. But when I looked it up and I found out he was affiliated with Outkast, I was like, yeah, I definitely have to pick this up. So that kind of thing. The single off this album is Holiday, which there is a video for. Pretty dope. Organized Noise did the production on this album. Very different, you know what I mean? Very different for Organized Noise, because he has kind of like a unique style of rapping in a sense. It's like poetic in a sense, but it's dope. It has like a dope sound to it though. Production wise, it kind of reminds me a little bit of ATLiens and a little bit of Aquemini in a sense, but like with its own, with Witchdoctor's twist, if that makes sense. But yeah, very dope album, underrated. I rarely hear people talk about this. Like, you know, all these Outkast fans, you know, talk about, oh, you know, look, Outkast is the best group. But I rarely hear them talk about their affiliates. You know what I mean? Like, what's up with that? You know what I mean? But Witchdoctor, a S.W.A.T healing ritual, released in 1998. Alright, next album is a compilation album and it's called Immortal Records Presents the Next Chapter, Strictly Underground, released in 1995. I'm so glad to get this album, and I got it for dirt cheap, man. I got it for really cheap. You would think like albums like this they would go for a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? But it's pretty much a compilation album from Immortal Records. It's pretty much the record label at the time, which I'm pretty sure is defunct now. I think it was like a subsidiary for Epic Records, and you know, excuse me, it had a couple of people like you know, Dilated Peoples. When they were supposed to come out with their album, The Image, Poetry, Political Prophet, some shit like that. It's a long ass title that was supposed to come out back in '95, but they shelved the album, and I don't think the album's ever gonna see the light of day, which kind of sucks because I would love to. Oh, well, I did hear it, but I had to bootleg the shit. Like, I had to download it because that's the only way you're gonna hear it. You know what I'm saying? But it was pretty sad. But it's pretty much artists from that record label. You know, and there's a lot of underground acts, which some of you guys should be familiar, especially like underground hip hop, especially like '90s stuff. Got people like Phil the Agony. I'm pretty sure you guys heard of him. The Far Eye, you guys know him from the Liquid Crew. You know, the barbershop MCs and shit like that. Tony the Schizo, Michael Myers, shout out to him. Voodoo of Western Hemisphere fame, that kind of thing. He was the producer, like he was one of the producers because he had Bird too. So kind of wish they made an album together, man. Like the whole Western Hemisphere, like especially like around 95, 96. Oh my god, 94. Like their sound is so fucking dope. Like the song "Pay the Price" by Voodoo, I fucking love that song, man. That beat is crazy, yo. That shit is sick, man. Dilated Peoples, like I said before. They have a song called "End of the Time," which is another name for. It's another name on the Dilated Peoples album. I forgot the name of it, but End of Time. That's the closest thing you're gonna hear as far as like in good studio quality, from their debut album Image, that long ass title Image, Political Prophet, that poetry, some political poetry. Yeah, that shit. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I would like for them to re-release that shit, man. I would like to get a studio quality of that, man. But yeah, the End of Time, that kind of thing, very dope. Dope West Coast underground hip hop that I love. It's not G Funk, it's more boom bap, but their own twist to it. It's very dope. I fucking love it. If you guys like you know, Soul and Ice, production wise, like that kind of sound, then you'll definitely enjoy this album right here. So this is Immortal Records, the next chapter, Strictly Underground. Released in 1995, and this is dirt cheap. I got it for like, I think like $5 online, like $4.99. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I was kind of shocked about that. All right, and then next album, glad to get my hands on this, and it is Psycho Realm, their debut album, released in 1997. Psycho Realm, affiliated with Soul Assassins. You know that's Funk Dubious, Cypress Hill, you know, House of Pain, you know, people like that. So they're part of that whole clan and shit like that. The singles off this album are, I believe, Stone Garden was a single. I think Showdown was a single as well, but I know definitely Stone Garden was definitely a single as well. Very dope album, very dark, you know, that kind of thing. It's crazy because, you know, Be Real, at one point, you know, he is part of the group, but after this album, he had to leave the group because, you know, he was with Cypress Hill, and you know, at the time they were working on the 4 album that came out in 1998, very underrated album. I showed that album a while back, but yeah, very dope. and just some of the shit that they were talking about. Um, you know, they got dropped from Sony Records because they talk about the industry, they talk about the record label and things like that. And Rough House Records being like a subsidiary of Columbia Records and Sony Records, pretty much Sony owns all of that. They were talking shit about Sony, so Be Real had to kind of leave the group because of that. You know what I'm saying? So they left the group, and he left the group, and then they got dropped right after this album. But it's a very dope album, very dark, very dope. Love the production on the album. It's self-produced, which is fucking dope. I fucking love that. But very dope. Highly recommended if you guys like Cypress Hill and stuff like that. Alright. Next album, RZA with Bobby Digital in stereo, released in 1998. His first solo debut album. I've been trying to get this album for years, finally got my hands on it. Very, very dope album in my opinion. Very underrated. Reason being is because, a lot of Wu fans kind of dismiss this album because of the fact that it doesn't have the Wu sound in a sense. It doesn't have the soul samples that, RZA's known to sample and stuff like that, and that kind of turned a lot of people off, you know what I mean? So, he had some sample joints, but a lot of the songs on the album kind of had like more, it was like more organic, it was more synth bass, that kind of thing, so he was like using more synths and stuff like that, and that turned people off, you know what I mean? But when you think about it, RZA was doing that as early as like 94, 95. Like, when you hear like, like some songs like on, Jizza's album, Raekwon and stuff like that with the synths and that kind of thing. Even like Ghostface, even some songs on Iron Man. Let me change the song. Sorry about that. Ooh. Yeah, so like I was saying before, but you can tell the direction he was going production-wise it was evident on Wu-Tang Forever, because he had a lot of songs like that, like had like that synth kind of feel to it, and but yeah, very dope, man, very, very dope album, dope concept too. The singles off this album are B.O.B.B.Y. I believe that was a single. Holocaust was a single too. Domestic Violence was a single. That was a pretty dope video too. Yeah, and he was supposed to come out with the movie too, but I don't know if that ever came out or it was like unreleased. But you can find that shit on YouTube. It's pretty dope. It's kind of short. It's like a short film. And he was supposed to come out with a full-length movie, but that never came out. It was like Bobby Digital in stereo and shit, like the actual movie, but that never came out. And then he was supposed to come out with the movie with the Cure album, but he might put it out, he might not put it out, I'm not sure. But if it is, I just want it to. I want him. I just hope he doesn't. I think it's. I don't know if it's recorded or he recorded it, but I don't know. I don't want him to change anything. Let's keep it the way it is. Like keep the. I don't like when people like update the fucking beats and shit like that just to please these fucking people today, man. Like, I don't like that shit, man. So I hope he doesn't do that. If he does come out with the Cure album, I just hope he just keeps it the way it was originally supposed to come out. But yeah, very dope album, man. Very dope. Underrated. Then we got Sonia C with Married to the Mob. This was released in 1993. Sonia C, she is an MC from, I believe she's from New Orleans, or I don't know, is she from New Orleans? Either New Orleans, yeah, I guess New Orleans, but she at one point was Master P's wife, aka Little Romeo's mom and shit like that. But they had a bad divorce, so they're no longer together, obviously. But this was her first album, and she was part of the group The Real Untouchables. True, because when they first came out back in the early 90s, like 91, 92, it consisted of mad people. It was like Master P, Master Killer, Master P, Shaka, C Murder, Sonia C, Big Ed, the Assassin, um, uh, uh, there's a couple other people I can't think of them on the top of my head, but those are the people I remember. But yeah, this is a pretty cool album. You know, you got some instrumentals on the album. Kind of has like a West Coast feel to it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the early No Limit albums had a West Coast feel to it. Because at the time, like, you know, this is when he was living in the Bay Area, Richmond, California, which was, you know, I think it's like a suburb. Like, it's like, or it's the outskirts of, like, you know, Oakland or some shit. Or Richmond is like its own city, but it's a Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so it definitely has like a West Coast feel to it. But yeah, I like it. You know what I'm saying? I just wish it was like more songs. You know, it was like some skits that didn't really need to be there, and there was just some instrumentals and stuff like that. Which I felt like kind of it was like a waste of instrumentals. Like I would like to hear more rapping and that kind of stuff. But you know, it is what it is. But pretty dope album. Glad to own it. It's rare, out of print, and I got it for $10. So then we got Voodoo with Dark Regions E.P. released in 1997. Voodoo of Western Hemisphere fame, I just mentioned before, on the Next Chapter compilation album. This came out in 1997. There's a couple singles as Two Deadly Sins, Southern California Nights, One Life to Live, and I believe that's it. Those are the singles off the album. But you know, One Life to Live and Two Deadly Sins definitely his biggest singles off the album, big like known singles off the album. I was a bit disappointed with this album, or EP I should say, because I call it an album, but because I was kind of expecting more production-wise, more in the vein of like Soul on Ice, Razzcast, Soul on Ice, especially shit that he produced on that album, like on Nature of the Threat and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? He was a producer that did that. So I was kind of expecting that, like that sound, but you could tell he's trying to go for, you know, not, I guess, like a commercial sound and that kind of thing, and it didn't really help out. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really help him. You know what I mean? So just kind of fit into obscurity after that. I mean, he put out a couple of singles and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like the album could have looked a little bit better, and I just feel like the production could have been better. But his lyrics, dope. That's all I can say about that. But you know, the production kind of bothered me a little bit. But if you're a fan of Razzcast, you like that Soul on Ice, you know, like the Western Hemisphere, and you know, that kind of that sound or whatever, then pick this up. You know, if you're expecting that, then you will be disappointed. But yeah, I feel like it could have been better. But yeah, Dark Regions, Voodoo, released 1997. Alright, so we got Dillinger with his third album. I'm gonna give a shout out to Freddie Lugo. He hooked me up with this shit. Sorry about that, guys. Dillinger with his third album. This is the Life I Lead. Pretty good album. I fucks with it. The single of this album was Keep It Gangsta. This came out in 2002. You know what I mean? Very dope. I fucks with it. You know, not much to really say. It's just, you know how dads do. You know, just dope G-Funk. You know what I mean? And with his own twists and shit. So, yeah, Dillinger with This Is the Life I Lead. This is 2002. Then we got Audio 2. Again, shout out to Freddie Lugo. This is their debut album. Audio 2, What More Can I Say? Released in 1988. Audio 2, Milk D, and I forgot the other guy's name. Yeah, Mike D. I mean, not Mike D. Milk D and DJ Gizmo. DJ Gizmo and Mike and Milk D. Top Billing being the biggest single off the album. The rest of the album was kind of meh. It's like one of those things where like the single was like the best song on the album. It's kind of sad, you know what I mean? But you know, Audio 2, you know, them being Milk D, you know, being related to MC Light and stuff like that, so that kind of thing. But yeah, could have been better. Then finally got my hands on this, the complete version of it, and it is 8ball's Lost, his debut album. I did show you guys this. I know you guys are gonna say that, oh, I showed you this, but I have the third disc, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Freddie Lugo. He hooked the brother up, so thank you for that. I'm not gonna get into too much of that. If you want to see how I talk about the album, just check out my CD collection part 62, part 1 of 2. Check that video out, and it shows that I talk more into depth with this album. All right. Then we got D.I.T.C's with their solo debut album, D.I.T.C self-titled, or some people call it the worldwide album. This was released in 2000. This album came out like 1 year after Big L's death and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a dedication to him, that kind of thing. So the singles off this album are Dick, Get Yours, Day One, and I believe that's it. Those are the singles of the album. But yeah, it's a cool album. I feel like it could have been a little bit better. You know, I was kind of expecting, I guess, like, I don't say like mid-90s D.I.T.C that sound, but you know, just, I don't know, just, I was expecting more. The beats could have been a little bit better in my opinion. It was cool, I liked it, but you know, and at this time they branched out from different producers. Like they had Primo in here, Rockweiler, you know, that kind of thing. But everybody else did some production, like, you know, Showbiz. I think Lord Finesse did the beat. Buck Wild, you know, people like that. So, but pretty cool. Could have been a little bit better in my opinion, and that's pretty much it. Last CD. Glad to own this album, and it is Joe Moff, Wu-Syndicate, released in 1999. Wu-Syndicate consists of 3 people, 3 members. Joe Mafia, Napoleon, and Maya Lansky from Virginia. I believe they're from Virginia Beach. I could be wrong about that. Their first appearance on wax was on the Swarm, the Killer Bees albums, the Swarm that came out in '98. I showed you guys that a while ago. Underrated album, very dope album. And the song that they were known for, Where Was Heaven, which was the single off this album, and it's also on the Swarm album, and Bustin' Slugs. Those are the 2 singles, and they both have videos. I remember seeing this in stores, particularly the Wiz. You know, in Green Acres Mall. All my people from Queens and Long Island know what I'm talking about. And I remember seeing this, and I didn't bother picking it up because I didn't know who they were, and I thought they were like was a group, like, oh, like, because at that time, like, everybody was like a Wu affiliate, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't really, like, I didn't know who was who, you know what I'm saying? So I was just trying to be loyal and just kind of like get stuff from the core members as well as the group albums. So I didn't end up picking it up, which was a mistake on my part, you know what I'm saying? But finally got my hands on it because this is out of print, and pretty cool album. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more. I'm gonna make another video. I might do it tonight or tomorrow. All right, hold it down. Peace.